Warning, this video may contain spoilers, yada yada yada.
The keyboard, how quaint. Entering the text-adventure world of the Crimson Diamond, we can't help but feel a little like Scotty in Star Trek IV.
The keyboard, how quaint.
Surely these games have had their day, and it ended as soon as pointing and clicking came along. And yet there's something in this. There certainly is something.
Adventure game, solving riddles great and small. Adventure game,
Adventure games, he loves them all.
every day is a new quest, exploring north, south, east to west. Point and click to find the answers that we seek. Adventure game geek.
Hello there, fellow adventurers. The Crimson Diamond was released just over a year ago, and I'm finally getting around to talking about it.
And boy, is there a bucket load to talk about.
This was undoubtedly one of the best adventure games of 2024, and a year later it's lost none of its charm. Solo developer Julia Minamata spent several years lovingly crafting this game, in collaboration with musician Dan Polakar. Just like the recently released Nier feels like the spiritual successor to Riven, the Crimson Diamond obviously takes great inspiration from the Colonel's Bequest, so much so that I sometimes get them confused. So why do I call this the Canadian Colonel's Bequest? Well, the big red maple leaf on the title screen might be a clue.
Oh, Canada.
Unlike your typical point-and-click adventure, this game has a text parser. In other words, we have to type in commands. There's a handy tutorial room for anyone not familiar with text parsers. For example, to talk to Jack, we simply type Talk Jack. There's also shortcuts for the more common commands that are super helpful, like OD for open door or AAB for ask about. The story is set in 1914 in Crimson, Ontario, which is in Canada by the way, where an old fisherman catches a fish and finds a diamond inside. What did he do with the diamond? Well, we never find out, but if he had a brother named Smeagol, it might not have ended well for him.
Precious.
Meanwhile, at the Royal Canadian Museum in Toronto, which is also in Canada by the way, we meet our protagonist Nancy Maple, a budding mineralogist who volunteers to go investigate the story and find out if there really are diamonds and crimson. Before we head out, let's stop here for a moment to admire the curiosities in this room, some of which might look familiar. There's the Idol of Many Hands from Monkey Island, King Graham's iconic adventurer's cap, and could that be the dagger of Ammon-Ra?
It's shiny.
Wait, what's that?
It's real gold.
Is it the dagger?
It's the dagger of Ammon-Ra.
Really? No way. The real dagger? That's it. Okay, we won the game. Congratulations. So it's goodbye big city and hello adventure. It's nighttime when we finally arrive at Crimson Lodge and Jack the caretaker is glad for the company. Let's make ourselves at home. Chapter 1. Introductions. As the name suggests, this is when we get introduced to the cast of characters staying at the lodge. Our roommate is Kimmy, who's here to do some bird watching. Across the hall, there's this lady called Margot, who asks Nancy how long she'll be staying, and Nancy says she's only staying the night.
I suspect she'll be there a little longer than that, otherwise this is gonna be a really short game.
This is also the perfect opportunity to snoop around people's rooms when they're not around. For those players who have a fetish for opening drawers and closets, this place is nirvana. There's actually an achievement called Complete Ransacker for opening all the cupboards and drawers in the game, but no matter how many I opened, I couldn't get it to pop, so I just had to satisfy myself by doing it for real. If we try and use the toilet, we find that use is not a command the game understands.
Oh, how else are we supposed to use the toilet? Nope, that didn't work.
We can actually type either P for number 1 or poo for number 2, though we don't get to see what happens next.
This isn't Leisure Suit Larry.
Nancy could really use a nice shower after her travels.
Look behind you! A three-headed... never mind.
This is of course a reference to the infamous shower scene in Psycho, as well as those classic Sierra death messages that make every death a hilarious experience. Sometimes when Nancy walks past the doorway, she can hear people talking, so she sidles in to eavesdrop. Let's eavesdrop on some unsuspecting game developers.
Sounds like these two are up to something foolish.
So, when's the release date for Foolish Mortals?
Yeah, we don't know it. People often ask, what's the release date? And they're going, you know really, don't you? No, we don't. We don't have the date yet.
These two are obviously up to no good, and we find out there's a dispute going on in the family over who will inherit the estate. Evan is the owner of the lodge, but his sister Nessa thinks that she should be the one to inherit, and has brought her lawyer along to back her up. She also brought some Jordan almonds, which are those hard-shelled candies you often get at weddings, that are more for decoration than for eating. If we offer some to Evan, he tells us he's allergic. So Nessa brought the almonds knowing that Evan is deathly allergic to them? Is she secretly plotting his demise? What's so deadly about these almonds anyway? We can try to beat Nessa to it by putting an almond in Evan's food, but the game won't allow you to turn Nancy into a murdering psychopath.
Denied.
The day ends with everyone getting together in the dining room for dinner and having some pleasant conversation.
This is giving me indigestion. This food is giving me indigestion.
After dinner, I thought the game had frozen before realizing that I had to type stand to get up from the table. We could just go to bed right away, or we could stand over people and watch them while they're sleeping. Chapter 2: Excursions. The next day, Nancy is supposed to leave, but fate has other ideas. Now we can leave the lodge and explore our surroundings. Our mission, should we choose to accept it, is to find some tools and collect 3 rock samples. This shouldn't be a problem for a dedicated mineralogist like Nancy, who's very knowledgeable about all sorts of rocks. She uses this to her advantage in one of the funniest scenes, where she rambles on so much this guy can't take it anymore and buggers off. As Nancy explains, this rock is a glacial erratic. Don't forget to examine any samples more closely with our loupe, a magnifying glass used by jewelers. We can also rub the rock on what's called a streak plate to test its hardness. I wonder what Jack will think when he finds his plates all scratched up.
You have offended my family?
And you have offended the Crimson Lodge.
Once we've got all the rock samples, Nancy's stomach will rumble to signal that it's time for dinner.
Oh, excuse me, I gotta go eat.
Chapter 3: Investigations.
As you might have guessed, in this chapter, Nancy investigates the theft of Nessa's ruby brooch. Here's where our detective skills come into play by using powder on things to reveal fingerprints. The tricky part is getting a fingerprint from Kimmy's mug while she's drinking from it. I'm about to spoil this puzzle, so if you don't want to know the solution, please take this opportunity to use the toilet.
Sorry, using the toilet doesn't work. I mean pee. Or poo.
We have to distract Kimmy so that we can take her mug, so we slip some ice into her tea. How does Kimmy not notice that? I think her eyes must be tired from looking at birds all day. Jack has baked some cookies called Hallangrotta, otherwise known as thumbprint cookies, the same ones I made to celebrate the Crimson Diamond's 1-year anniversary.
Wait, hang on a second.
That's right. No thumbprint cookies for you until you make that video.
Oh, that's right. I can't eat this cookie until I've actually reviewed the game.
Better get on with our investigations if we want to eat the cookie. I got totally stuck here over these cookies, so all I can say is pay attention to every pixel.
That's right, a good mineralogist leaves no pixel unturned.
If we get tired of investigating, we can play some billiards with Evan, as long as we don't scratch our balls. At the end of the day, we once again enjoy standing over people lying in bed. Chapter 4: Tensions. Oh, and a note has been added to your notebook. Things are getting pretty tense, and these guys look like they're up to something. Time to do some eavesdropping. I thought Jack was a friendly cookie baking guy, but now I'm not so sure.
Nice night for a walk.
Just like in the Colonel's Bequest, we can easily miss scenes if we're not in the right place at the right time, though it's not quite as unforgiving. One of my main gripes with the Colonel's Bequest is that you can walk into a room and time will pass when you're not ready for it.
Wow, okay. And it's not another 15 minutes have passed. Wow, okay. Time flies.
This is also something Julia wasn't too happy about.
It was really stressful because you walk into a room and time will advance. There's no warning, and it feels like when I started playing it, I felt like I was scared to explore because I was scared of advancing that time.
Once again, our trusty loop can reveal more detail not just about rocks, but other objects like an apple, which in close-up looks like the surface of Mars.
Upon closer inspection, I can conclude that this is indeed an apple.
I love this scene where Evan is sitting at the end of the pier and just sits there drinking while Nancy falls in the water and drowns. Chapter 5: Escalations. Things are really escalating now, and Evan has mysteriously disappeared from where he was sitting on the pier. Maybe he fell in the river?
Well, serves him right for letting us drown.
There's a lot to investigate here, not just fingerprints, but also footprints. There's no visible score, but the game does keep track of it in the background, as Julia explains.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's that's the right even question to ask. Like exactly how it works is it's very inexact. The way that the score sound and the visual cue works in the Crimson Diamond, it's like oh look, you did an interesting thing, or you've done something that reveals some information, but not explicitly like this is adding to your score out of 500 or something. Short answer is yeah, there's a score and it's hidden and you'll never see it.
There's so many little details that most players probably won't get the maximum score first time playing. At least I didn't.
Well, that's because you're a lousy detective.
Well, I might be a lousy detective, but you're what's the word I'm looking for? Cooper.
Yeah, well, maybe you're right.
Well, I'm glad you agree. You're a turd.
This smokehouse is really suspicious, and we find a symbol in there that looks like it's been painted in blood. What does a good detective do when they find a bloody looking symbol? Taste it, of course. Before ending the day, there's a bunch of optional items we can find that will affect the ending, so don't forget to save early, save often, though every adventurer knows this already. Death is not the end, however, as long as you have a save game, and as the game tutorial says, it's always wise to save often. This is excellent advice, and I recommend putting post-it notes around your monitor to help you remember. Looks like Evan's in trouble and Nancy and co rush off to save him. Watching this scene, I could hear the theme from the A-Team playing in my head. Chapter 6: Confrontations. I get the feeling we're going to confront someone in this chapter, but first we have to find a way into the mines. We can blast our way in, but be sure to read this disclaimer first.
Disclaimer. The developer of this game assumes no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in any processes depicted, particularly dangerous ones involving explosives. Do not attempt anything in this game in real life.
This is my favorite death in the game, when Nancy blows herself sky high.
In other words, please do not blow yourself up.
The mine is a treacherous place even with a lantern to light the way, and it's easy to get lost in the dark. This part reminds me of the Troll Cave in King's Quest IV.
Yes, Roberta, I promise to be more careful.
I won't show the final confrontation, but it's kind of like the ending of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Now we must bid a fond farewell to Nancy as she toddles off back home. She returns to the place where she rents a room from her landlady Mrs. Williams, who looks a lot like a famous game designer. I wonder who it could be. Chapter 7: Conclusions. Here's where we make our conclusions by answering a bunch of questions based on the evidence we've collected, similar to the end of the Dagger of Ammon-Ra.
Oh wow, okay, well, I should have been taking notes here, really.
The game will give you some clues on what you missed, and there are many reasons to replay the game. There's a lot of missable scenes like this one in the gazebo. How do they not notice Nancy standing there eavesdropping? Maybe they've eaten too many Jordan almonds. I played the Cooper out of this game and it was totally worth it. It's a game you really have to stop and sit down to fully appreciate, and even spin around to take in the full 360-degree view. So what's next for Nancy Maple? Let's ask Julia how she feels looking back at her experience making the game.
Time feels so weird. This was a weird year because, yeah, it was the first year in a very long time that I wasn't working on it. And I busied myself with a bunch of other things that have been coming out slowly, like, Chance's Lucky Escape, which is going to be at Adventure X in the showcase this year. I don't know. I still don't know if I've processed it, to be honest with you. I feel kind of far away from it now, even though it's only been a year. It feels like something I did a long time ago, even though it's not. But, yeah, I don't know.
So let's toast to 1 year of the Crimson Diamond and many more to come.
Okay, this is the one cookie to rule them all. So let's see how this tastes. Ah, my precious, my precious cookie.
Upon closer inspection, I can conclude that upon closer inspection, we.